Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you all are having a great day, and we're gonna be working on a new video today. So we're gonna go more into the design aspect of web development, because before we've been looking at how to code in Python, which is not really web development, but you do need to know how to code in Python to use the framework. And we've been not looking much at the design aspect. So in this video I'll be showing you how to use a software called Figma, which is free. It's like Adobe XD, but with Adobe XD you have to pay. Well, I'll be showing you how to set up a draft and how you could use it, some shortcuts and some elements we can work around with. So let's go right into the video. um, Delete this quickly. So let's go to, I'm in Google Chrome right now. So we need to write in Figma, which do it down here, and we just need to click this, and we'll be sent to the Figma page. For you will need to sign up actually. So you will need to create an account. So when you've created an account, you've got just basically put in your email and password and nothing else. You don't have to pay, it's completely free. And once you've created an account, you could use the web version of Figma, or you can download it as a app down here. But I prefer using the web version of Figma, so I'm just gonna demonstrate here. So when you've once you've got your account set up, you'll be sent to this page. So basically it'll show you all your drafts. For you it'll look different. This is because I have more draft. I've done past design before. For you it may just show these three. So don't worry if you don't see all of these are just my projects in the past I've been working for. So we need to create a new draft. There's two ways you can do this. You can click this plus sign up here, or you can click this. I'm gonna click this, and we're sent to a empty folder or file. And this is our layout so far. I just want to show you a layout quickly. On the left we have layers, so basically everything that's to do with our design, so images, elements, frames. And on the right we have the actual tool section. So right now we don't have much tool. It's because we don't have any element or frames on the screen, but when we implement any elements or frames we'll get more tools. We also have prototype, which I don't really use much, but we have inspect, and from inspect you can get the CSS from the code. So this is really good for getting quick CSS if you want to use Figma for the inspect tool. But let's get started and add an actual frame. So in web development we need to take in account one thing. It's device and display. So well, that's two things, but the same thing. It's device. So for web development we need to design a website for mobile and phone and anything between, such as tablets. So we need to make sure we have multiple frames, which is mobiles and you know laptops or desktops. But you need to know the dimensions of these frames. But what's great about Figma is they'll give you these devices out of the box. So if we click this button, which is the frame button, and then we look at the right hand side, it gives us some tools, so like phone, tablets, desktop. For now you may be focusing on these three. For web development these don't really matter, but let's look at desktop. Obviously you can get a desktop like a big PC, but like these are some laptop views. I'm gonna choose iMac as is closest to my actual laptop's dimension. So now we've got this, and we've got a brand new layer here, and we got more tools on the right, as you can see. Let me just quickly delete this, and how you can delete is right click it and then delete. There should be a delete somewhere. I don't see it on delete, but you can right click it and press the delete key. I'm gonna click on this frame, and then you see the mobile. You can see different dimensions, but for now I'll be using desktop, and I've got the desktop view, and we've got a blank canvas to work on. And you see on the left we got a brand new layer. Let's rename this, and I did that by double clicking it. We'll call it laptop view, and I'm going to show you one neat shortcut for Windows. If you press Control and then backslash, it hides the tools and the layers, so you can have a nice view of your canvas. But if you click it again, you get the tools back. I'm not sure what the control is for Mac or any other devices, but I know for Windows it's Control backslash. You can look at the shortcuts if you click on this hamburger, and you go down to shortcuts. We just try shortcuts here. Yeah, if you just try shortcuts, then you can click on this, and then it'll give you all the shortcuts. But you don't need to know all them. You just need to know some that will help you a lot. So we've got this blank canvas, and we can do a bit of coloring. We can fill it, so we can give it a fill color. We can add a grid, which I do want to show you, and most importantly for the frame, we can add a width and a height. So for a website, usually you keep the width same, but websites can be taller and smaller, meaning its height could be more or less. So a quick shortcut you can do is do the asterisk and 2 to multiply by 2, and if you want to divide it by 2, you can do the forward slash and 2. Now it's divided by 2. Control Z works here, so you can do Control Z to undo. This is, I think, the rotation. So if I do 30, it'll 30 not Celsius, 30 degrees, it'll rotate it 30 degrees. And if I do 10 here, it'll give the border a 10. So you can see a border radius here. If I do 0, it'll make it sharp. But since this is a frame, I'm going to keep it as it is and maybe change things down here. So the layers, you can play around with this, but usually I don't. If you're familiar with this from editing softwares, you can play around with this. But let's look at the fill. Right now we've got this fill and opacity of 100. This 100 shows means opacity. So if we click on this here, we're given this little coloring palette, and we can change the hue, and then we can change the color. So we can give it a darker orange, we can give it a lighter orange, we can just do a really pure orange, and we've got our color. So I want to keep it like that, but make it a bit darker actually. So now it gives you a hex code. You can change the hex to RGB if you want, CSS, but I'm going to keep it as hex. And you can change the opacity to 20%. Now it's 20% less opacity, but I want to keep it like that for now. And I actually want to switch it back to white just for simplicity purposes. So that's all you can do with a frame. You can add strokes, you can add effects, and export. I'll go on to what export means soon. But stroke, it'll give, stroke means like the outline. So you see it gave you a bit of an outline. If I do a stroke of 5, it'll give you a thicker stroke. And I can change the color of the stroke, just like the color of the fill, to let's say red, let's say blue, something like that. I'm going to do Control Z to revert everything. And if you don't want the stroke, what you can do is click this minus and we'll remove the stroke. And effects are basically stuff like drop shadow, inner shadow, blur, and background blur. I'm not going to play around with these too much. You can play around with them if you want, but for now we want to keep our canvas clean, and we want to keep our canvas like nothing edited, because we just want to edit the the elements. So I want to do one thing, and that is to add a grid. And what's important about grid is that if we add a grid, we can align our elements inside of a canvas really well. So what we can do is go to layout grid, we can add a layout grid, and now we have 10 pixels of layout grid. But you can see there's so much layout grid here, there's so much red here that is actually hurting your eyes. So what you can do is you can switch this 10 pixels, so you can make it into something bigger, so like let's 100 pixels. But you can see it doesn't, you know, snap onto the edge. So we can do something like, we need to figure out something that will fit into 720 and 1280. I think we should do 720. So I'll do 180, 360, nope, do 90. 90 works fairly well. There's a bit of a edge here, but it's not that bad. Let me do 640, 320. I think 90 will do. For now, 90 will do. You can change the color of the outline if you want to make it green. I think red is pretty clear, and you can change the opacity. And if you want to hide the grid, you don't have to remove it. You can just click on this eye symbol, and then you can hide the grid, and you can turn it back on. One more thing about the layer section is you can lock the layer. So once you've locked it, you can't move it around, you can't drag it. It's really hard to, you know, select it, and you can hide the layer if you want. But for now, I don't want to hide it. Alright, so that's our frame. Frame's pretty simple. Now let's get into the elements, and we've got some tools in the top left corner where we can create elements. The two main tools right here are the shape tool and the text tool. Let me create a shape for now. So we got the rectangle, line, arrow, ellipse, polygon, star, and you can add an image, but you can also add an image by Control C, Control V. So let's just do rectangle for now. And now our cursor is being changed. Now we need to create a rectangle. We can drag it out like this, but if you do shift and then hold X, it'll keep it as a square. And if you want to do rectangle, you can do it like that. So I want to do it as a rectangle actually, and then do 360 by 180. And now we've got a grey square, and you can see this square is inside of the frame. If it's outside of the frame, it'll be under. So we've made the square underneath the frame. Now it's hidden because that's how layers work. If it's underneath the layer, it'll be set. So this is sent to the front, and this is sent to the back. Now if we put it over, it's sent to the front. But I want to keep this inside of this frame. So now we can just edit this shape as how we want it to be. So let's first look at the color. Let's just do a color, a bluish color. I think that'll do. And then let's add a border radius of 5. And now we've got a pretty decent box here, and let's just turn off this grid thingy so we can have a better look. And this could be an element, whatever element you want it to be. We can add stroke for now, but I want to show you one neat thing. Instead of doing Control C, Control V, and drag it out like that, also it gives you these really great lines to tell you how the distance between the elements. Instead of doing Control C, Control V, you can do Control. You can do actually Shift. Oh wait, hold up. Yeah, you can do Shift, and then you can click it. So wait, let me restate this. Hold Alt. Sorry, you meant to hold Alt. First hold Alt. Let me delete this. First hold Alt, then click on the element you want to duplicate, drag it, and then it tells you the actual pixels between the distance, and then before you let go of Alt, you let go of the mouse, and then you let go of Alt, and then if you click Alt again, the mouse again, drag it. Now it's gonna auto snap, keep the correct distance, and if we let go of the mouse and we let go of the Alt, we get a we get 3 boxes with the exact same distance. But let's see what happens if we let go of the Alt first. So I'm holding Alt, clicking the mouse, I'm going to drag it, and now I'm going to let go of the Alt first. Now let go of the mouse. Now the middle section is missing because we let go of the Alt first. We were supposed to let go of the mouse first. So I'm going to redo this, and now we're left with 30 pixels. I want to show you one more thing. If you click on this, hold Alt and Shift, and you drag, it doesn't go up and down because we've locked it to go one path. If we let go of Shift, now we can do up and down. If we click Shift, it's locked to where it is. And let's do 30 pixels, and now we've nicely aligned 3 items inside of a canvas. But let's say we want to center this because there's more distance from here to the edge, from here to this edge. We could first group these. I'm going to rename this to rectangle 3. We can group these, so we can click all of them. So we can click this and then shift this, or we can click control. So if you click all of them, it'll just hop around each other. But if you click and then if you hold control and click, it'll add it. Or if you click and if you shift click, it'll add everything underneath it. Alternatively, you can just do click control. Click shift. Now we've got all of these elements. How to group them is you can press Control G. Now they've grouped, and we can rename them to boxes. Now we've got all of these grouped. Now we can align them in the center as much as we want, and they're aligned. But let's say if you want to quickly align them, you can do Alt H. If you do Alt H, it'll tell you the distance between the 2 sides and even the top and bottom, and then it'll align it automatically for you. And if you let me just press this group again. So we know this is 70 pixels from the left to right. Let's say if we want it to be 70 pixels from the top, how we can do that is we can manipulate the Y value, because this is a X value. So if we move this to the left, it's X0. If we move it to the middle, it's X70. If we move it to the right, it's X140. But let's say if you want to do Y70, you just write 70 here. And now it's 70 pixels from the top to here and 70 pixels from left to the first box. And that's a really good way of aligning. But let's say we want to make this middle box unique. Let's play around with some of these designs a bit more. We want to keep the the border same, but let's say we want to get rid of the fill, so we can do that by clicking this fill button. But before we do that, let's copy and paste the hex value, get rid of the fill. Now it may seem like we've deleted it, but we haven't. It's just white because you can tell that we still have it here. And what we can do is click on stroke, and now we have a stroke. We'll give it a bit of thickness, 2.5, and then we'll give the color of the stroke that hex value. Now we have two filled boxes and 1 empty, and you can see when we hover over them, any of these 3 boxes, it forces us to click on the group. Let's say if we want the individual box, what we can do is hold control and then we can click. So now if we hold control, we can click on each individual box. If we don't hold control, we have to click on the group. That's a quick shortcut if you want to click on the boxes rather than using the layers. So we just click on this, and let's just make this a 90 degrees turn. So now it's turned it's like it's a portrait view now. It's in its portrait view. What we can do here is add 70. So we can do add 70 because we know this is, although this is 360, it's saying this is 360 because the top part here, this part I'm hovering over is 360, but this part is actually 0, if that makes sense. So if we want to align it along the top of this, we add 70, press enter. Now it's aligned on the top of these, and we can do one more thing, and that is I think that's actually it. Okay, I want to show you a bit more alignment options you can do. So let's click on this, and let's say we want to align these, but we don't want to just do this because it takes a bit of time. And let's say if you are like 6 elements, so let me just do this here. Let's say this was a design, but you want to align this perfectly in the center. Let's say you just don't want to do this. Let's say you just don't want to do this, and you want to, I mean, no, sorry. I want to, so let's say you want to give these two perfect distribution of alignment, meaning you see from this box to this box, there's more space between this box to this box. How you can do that is, let's click on the group, and we need to use these tools. So we need to use just distribute vertical spacing. Distribute horizontal spacing. Vertical is top to bottom, horizontal is left to right. So if we click distribute horizontal spacing, now you can see all of these have the perfect amount of distribution, and we've got our elements with a unique style. We've got our elements perfectly aligned and everything. And let's turn on our grid again, and you can see how it's aligned with the grid, although there's a bit of excess grid here. You gotta deal with that bit, you gotta try to take that into account, but it's not that big of a deal. So let's just turn off this grid layout, and let's play with some of the other tools we've got. We've got the line, arrow, ellipse, polygon, but I want to look at polygon for now because this is a unique tool. Let's pull this out, and let's do shift again to do equal width and height, and let's do 177, but then write 150 here. And if this allows it to be changed proportionally, so if we change the width, it'll proportionally change the height. Let's give this the same color of this. Control V, and we don't want this to be part of the boxes group because we only want boxes here, so this will be its own individual group. Okay, you may notice on the right we still have all of these values, but we get an extra value, and this is count. This means how many sides will the the element will have. If we do 4, it becomes a rhombus. Pretty sure that is a rhombus. No, it's not a rhombus. I'm really bad with my shapes, but it's a diamond. Yeah, it's a diamond. Don't know why it's a rhombus. If we do 5, it becomes a pentagon. If we do 6, it becomes a hexagon, and so on. It gets more and more sides, and this is 90 sides. Yeah, it looks like a circle from afar. If we do one side, sorry, if we do one side, we can't do one side, can't do 2, so the minimum is 3, and we can make it a bit bigger. And there's not any other styles we can do, but I do want to show you something you can do with stroke. If we add a stroke, and then if we click these 3 ellipses, we can have it where we can do a rounded stroke, a bevel stroke or a square stroke, and something we can do. Hold up, I'm trying to look for it. No, I can't find it. But obviously we can add stroke here. We can give this the color of we'll make this green, make it a bit light, and now we've got our elements. So you may be asking how we can make this into like an actual website, because it's cool we have all of these elements, but we want to make this into an actual website. So I'm just gonna delete all of these elements, and I'm gonna do that by highlighting all of them and then pressing the delete button. So in most websites we have a navigation bar, and this navigation bar usually lies on the top, and we can do that by adding a rectangle on the top. So let's get the rectangle tool, let's drag, drop, and we'll add it here. I did 100 pixel height. You can do 50, you can do 150, but I'm gonna keep it 100. And we want to color this. So let's pick a color again. Pick a different color. We'll do something like a orangey color, a dark orangey color. I'll do. So we've got an orangey color, and now on the hamburgers we usually have text on the top, right? And you can see the text tool here. This is the pen tool. We don't want to use the pen tool. We want to use the text tool. And if we click on the text tool, we can do it where we can click here and we can write somewhere. So we'll do my website. But you can see this looks puny. So if we double click on this to highlight all of the words, and if we go down, let's go to font size, which is this, and we can change it to something. Let's do 48. And what we can do is have it where we align it here. But let's say this was, you accidentally did it longer than you thought, and like wider than you shot and taller than you thought. If you double click on this bottom right corner, double click on it, it makes it its appropriate height and width. Let's just put this along here and add a since this is 22 pixels from the top and bottom, I want to do 20 pixels from the left to right. So I'm going to do 22 pixels, and then what I'm going to do is change its color to white to give it that bit of contrast, and change its font family. So it's text font to, let's do Rockwell. That does not look nice. I'm gonna do one that I know. Montserrat. Yeah, Montserrat. I can't say that, but we're gonna use this font. And let's say if we want to give it a bit of boldness, we can do irregular, and we also have italics here. So let's do semi-bold, and we got a bit of a bold title, and we've basically got a title. But now we need our links, so we need to get this text tool again. We need to drag, and let's do home, and let's double click on this to give it appropriate width and height. And let's get rid of the boldness first. So let's make it irregular, and then make it smaller, so 24 pixels. Make it white, just like the title. And what we need to do is align it from top to bottom. And now this is where the grid is helpful. We turn on the grid, and we know we wanna have it. We want the right. Wait, hold up. Before we use the grid, let's get in our other links. So we can do that by doing Shift Alt drag. We'll do a distribution of 20 pixels. We'll do about me, and then we'll do one last one of contact me, or just contact, and let's group these links and call it links. And what we can do is, you see 20 here. If you want to distribute more, we can do 45 and then distribute more. I think 45 will do actually. Align these vertically. They're vertically aligned, and now we want the right hand side of this box to touch this red line here. So we can do that by putting here, and it'll auto snap. It auto snapped for me, so it just auto snapped right there. And now we've perfectly aligned it on the right side. Let's say if we want to align the left hand side on this line here, we can just drag it, and we've got a sense of alignment. So this is great because you don't want your website to be a bit too much of a mess, like too much non spacing from top to bottom, left to right, if you get what I mean. These are like fundamental basic fundamentals. Now I'm gonna get rid of the grid, and we've got a navigation, but let's say we want the content of a page. But what I like to do is click on all of these, group them, and call it navigation. So now we've separated each of our sections of our page. So now we want to do the main section, which will be pretty much an image on the left and then text on the right. And I'm gonna get my image from a website called Undraw, which is basically where you can get illustrations. I'm gonna look for a illustration that may look good. Let's do this one, and I'm gonna download SVG, and let's just go here and drag this into here. And what we can do is click on this, and then we can change the width, and it'll be proportionate. So let's do 350 pixels, drag it in here, and there we go. Let's do 400 actually. And now if you move it, you can see this vertical line on the left is getting snapped on the tile. We want that. We can also look at it by turning on the grid, and if it snaps there, and we want it aligned on the top. So let's go back here, turn off the grid quickly, and on the right we want text and a paragraph. But before we do that, let's edit this SVG, and we can do that because SVGs are composed of smaller segments. So if we click on this, if we hover over this or click over it, if we hold Control, we can actually pick out each and every single of these segments. So let's say if we want this blue to be our header color, we'll get our header color, Control C, click this blue, so Control and click this blue, and switch it to a header color. Switch this blue. We do need to. There you are. And now we've got a bit of color scheme going here. We could, if we did want, we could also change these. But now it looks a bit bland. So what we can do is change this gray into the same color, but do a trick where we move it a bit, so we make it a bit less of an orange, and change it into a bit of a red. And then we've got a SVG that's similar to this, or alternatively we can just take it all back and then change this guy's top as orange, and this looks better than what I was doing before, so we'll keep it like that. So we've got an illustration, a picture. One thing that I do want to show is, if you want to use this illustration with its custom colors rather than this illustration with this blue color, what you can do is click on this, and you can export it, and you can export it as SVG, PNG, and JPEG, and then click on this. But I'm not going to export it because I don't really want to export it. But if you do want to export it, you can obviously choose a file type and then click export, and it'll download it for you. And now I want to add the paragraph on the right, and we can do that by simply adding a text. We can do view our latest not sure if that makes sense, but I'll just leave it like that. Okay, and let's group this and call it main, which will be basically the main part of our page. And if you want to do it where it overflows to the bottom, you can do it like that. I'll try both ways and see which one works. What I'm going to do is click this, Control Z first actually, I'm going to make it wider, Shift Alt. Remember when I said you can do it sideways, you can also do it top to bottom. So I'm going to do it top to bottom, and then I'm going to change this to a regular, a size of say 6, I think 24 pixels will do actually, just like the nav. And I'm going to get some lorem text from this website called loremipsum.io. I'm going to get like a paragraph, I'll just get 2 paragraphs. Actually, I think that's a bit too much text. Words, and I'll just do 22 words. Copy, come back here, Control V, and you can see it's dragging out, and that's because we made it where it's going to be single line, so we need to drag it in, and we can have it like that. And I think this looks pretty good. And we'll do one more thing, and that is to add a button. And we need a rectangle, and we can first do it like that, do a width of 130 and a height of 40. I think that looks good. And we can drag it down. Now final thing to do is give it our colors. I think this this orange on the top is a primary color, so let's use an accent color. And I think this pink here is a pretty good accent color we can use. So let's copy and paste this hex code, go to this box, Control V, Control C, Control V, and we've got a accent color on our button. Let's give it a bit of a rounding, so like 5, not too much. I think 3 is better. Not too much where it looks too sharp, but not too, too little where it looks too sharp, but not too much where it looks like a bubble. Because if we do it like that, it's just gonna look like a bubble, which is fine if that's your sort of style. But right now, I'm gonna keep it minimalistic to a 3 border. And last thing we need to do is write our text. And I want to show you a little bit of a cheat you can do in Figma where you can perfectly align the text. So let's just write download. Let's make this size of 18. Okay, so what you need to do is perfectly have it snap on the button. So so let's say if you did like this, make sure you drag it against the button. And what you can do is click these button allows you to align it. So if you do text align center, it'll allow you to align to the center, and you can align it vertically. So now it's vertically perfect on the button, on the background. And what you can do now is change the color if you want to FFF, and that's pretty much it. So we've got a main body in. We can group the 2 things to show it's a button, btn, and we've got our main body. And last we can do is add a footer. A footer is basically just like the top. We'll just quickly do that, fly through it, do 150 instead. And I do want to make this black, but not pure black. So let's just make it pure black first, and then make it a bit more grayer. and then I think that looks pretty decent out there. And now we can just do a copyright 2020. We can make this bigger if we wanted. We can change the color to FFF, and we can give it a bit of boldness but not too bold, and then we can double click this and center it and add a X value of 30. And on the right we can do some social media icons, so let's group this quickly. Right, footer, and let's go to font awesome. Allow this to load. We'll do Instagram, and we can just do free. We'll choose this one looks pretty decent. Download it, agree, go to Figma, put it down here, close this, and remember proportion. Let's do 50 pixels. Let's make this white, and you can't do fill, it's selection colors. With SVGs you need to play around with the selection colors rather than the fill. So let's make this white, FFF, and it's invisible because the background is white. So let's drag this in here, and we've got our Instagram icon. And now let's get two more. Shouldn't it? Oh wait, no. Maybe I'll find it here. Yeah. Hold up. I want to keep it consistent of the style, so this was okay. Yeah, I'll do this one. And remember that was 50 pixels. The Instagram one was 50 pixels. So we're gonna keep this 50 pixels. We'll do this as FFF. Drag this in, and now put that there. We'll do one more, and we'll do that as YouTube. Grab this one, download it, and now let's make this 50 pixels. And now we can do FFF. Now what we need to do is align these vertically, align them perfectly vertically. So what we can do is click on these, and then remember horizontal space, and I wanna do it where it's minus. Oh wait, hold up. Let's group these. Control G. Let's group them, and I want to do minus 40. So it's off. Oh, that's the Y. I need to do X minus 40. Now it's off the wall by 40. Now we've got a footer, we've got a main, we've got a header. Let's put this inside of the footer. So this is the Figma tutorial. There's one last thing I want to show you, and it's the CSS part. So let's click on something like let's click on this paragraph, click on inspect, and this looks weird. It's not how it should look like. Yeah, it should look like that. Yeah, I think the CSS styles have been dragged down. So if you scroll down, and you can see the CSS styles, you can copy and paste it, put in your CSS files if you want. But I don't really like using position absolute, because as then it's harder to make your website responsive. But if you want to do it like that, you can. So that's been the Figma tutorial. If you found it helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. If you got any more questions, make sure to comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.